So, the theme for today's adventure walk is titled Taking the Next Step. Now, I want to approach this from a few different angles. First and foremost, I want to approach it from the angle of being invited to go on an adventure. And I want to highlight a couple of different can really help us to. So I want to approach this from the angle of a few different people that we can look to from the Word of God that were people that were stuck, right? So let's talk about Abraham. Abraham was a man who was in living very, very, very comfortably. He was he had wealth, he had home, and what's interesting about Abraham is that it wasn't until he was very old that he actually went ahead and embarked on the adventure. And if you're someone that finds yourself telling yourself that, oh, I'm too old, this is not for me, adventure's not for me, he's a great person to look to because he was an old guy by the time he actually went ahead and listened to God's call. But that's the wonderful thing about life is that the call to adventure can come at any moment. And oftentimes we are prompted. There are people that we know in life. There are people that we know that are calling us, right? They're calling us to go on the adventure, but they don't, for whatever reason, they don't resonate with us. And that is something that we have to really, really think about, right? Especially if it's coming from someone that loves you and wants your good. Today's scripture readings actually talked about that because Jeremiah, for example, went to go preach to his own people, the Jewish people, and they wanted to kill him for it. And Christ himself, when he went back to his hometown, and they said to him, wait, this is the son of Joseph. Isn't he the carpenter's son? Like, who is he to be talking about these miracles? Who is he to be talking about all these great acts and to be preaching to us and telling us how to live? Like, we know him. Like, you're not someone special. You're just like everybody else. How many times do we react that way to the people that we know and love? And sometimes familiarity can breed contempt. And we oftentimes would treat the people that are closest to us, the people that we love the most, we don't listen to them. We kind of just brush it off. And that is a huge mistake. And so if you have people in your life that are calling you to be better, if you have people in your life that want you to be better, that want you to embark on an adventure, listen to them, right? Because chances are they want what's good for you. And if you're starting from zero, if you feel that, man, I have no experience, I have nothing to offer, that's okay. Because every great adventure starts with just one step. And so that's the invitation that I'm making for you today, is for you to just take that one step, right? The same way that we're walking right now, the same way that we're here outside enjoying this beautiful nature, it's all about just taking that first step. And look, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? Because the first step that you take in anything, when you step into the unknown, when you step into something that you don't know, man, that's scary. Like, I remember when I first became a life coach, thinking to myself, how am I going to get my first client? At the time, I was 25 years old, and what I was wrestling with at the time was, I'm too young. I don't have anything to offer. No one's going to listen to me. And pushing through that was probably one of the biggest challenges that I ever had to face. Chances are there's a challenge in your life right now that you also need to push through, that you also need to take that first step. So the biggest thing to learn right now is if you don't know how to start, that's okay, because no one knows how to start. What often needs to happen is we have to allow ourselves to take action, right? And I remember one of my coaches telling me that if you want to move your mind, if you want to engage your mind, you need to move your body, right? So the reason why I love these walks so much is because this has been a great opportunity to reflect. And when you reflect, when you think, oftentimes the next step comes right immediately after. So my invitation for you is to just take the first step in whatever it is that you need to do, and you will be amazed at what shows up. Because when you take a step forward, oftentimes the next step just shows up, right? It's just a matter of not allowing yourself to stay stagnant. Because there used to be a phrase that I would listen to over and over again every single day. And the phrase was, if you're not growing, you're dying. We have this illusion that we can just maintain, right? We can just maintain our status. We can just maintain what we're doing. But that's not how we work, actually. That's not how we work cognitively. That's not how we work physically. You have to, even to just quote unquote maintain something, you have to put effort, right? It takes effort to maintain something. And if you want to grow, you have to increase your input. Now, if you're starting from a position of not knowing, the next thing you need to do is actually just do something, right? Get into movement. And when it comes to the people that are in your circle, when it comes to the people that want you to be better, the people that you're familiar with, listen to them, okay? Even if you don't agree, listen to them, because oftentimes they will tell you what the first step is. And once you get the first step, you get momentum and you start moving forward. And that's the beautiful thing about life, is life rewards people that walk. Life rewards people that move. And when you move, you obviously will move forward, right? Now, what happens when you have a setback? The first setback when you start something new is very discouraging. Now, I remember when I had to pitch. I joined the networking group and I was the youngest guy in the room. And I remember walking into that room and all these business owners, they were middle-aged, they were successful. I felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. But for me, the first step to getting business was showing up into a place where business was passed. And that's the next lesson that I want to talk about, is oftentimes the first step is you need to show up, right? And I think it was Wayne Gretzky that says that 80% of life is showing up, right? When you show up for something, you've done the hardest part. Many of us that work out, we oftentimes find the hardest struggle is just getting to the door and showing up to the gym, right? Once you're at the gym, maybe for the first few minutes, you're a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe for the first few minutes, like you're sore. Oh, I don't want to do this. But that very quickly passes. That's a great metaphor for life. When you show up for something, you obviously will get the next step. And that's okay. And that's the thing, right? Is we're so afraid sometimes of what people will think. We're so afraid of looking like fools or failures or not knowing what to do. But that's par for the course. That's how it is, right? I want to make a connection here with the Lion King. This is something that I learned from Jordan Peterson. And you'll remember from Lion King, there's obviously Simba, right? There's Mufasa, and then there's Rafiki. Now, who is Rafiki, right? Rafiki he's the fool, right? He's the wise sage. And what's interesting about Rafiki is that he is the one that shows Simba the path, right? He's the one that shows up and reminds Simba of his destiny. And in order for you to embark on your destiny, you have to be willing to look like a little bit of a fool, right? If you have a great idea, if you have a concept that you're just thinking about exploring, you have to be okay with understanding that you're new to the game. And the next step, once you show up and once you've taken that first step, is asking yourself a very important question. Who do you know? Who do you know that's already doing that thing? And if you don't know anyone personally, is there someone that you can look to online? Is there some content you can watch? Is there some video that you can learn? I'm framing this in the context of starting a new skill or a business, because oftentimes we think that we have to always be original, that we always have to come up with something new. But here's the thing. If there's something that you want to do and there's someone else that does it, look at their website. Look at what they're up to. Look at what you can learn from them. Because if they have something that works and it's something that you want to do, then you can save yourself a ton of time by just looking at what they have to offer. And you can apply that to basically everything in life. And you can kind of shortcut your way to success by just allowing yourself to learn, right? So you take your first step, you show up, you look at someone that does something. Okay, what do you do next? Offer it. Offer it to somebody, right? I remember saying and hearing that your first client is going to be the hardest client that you ever get. And man, that's true, because going from 0 to 1 is a huge leap. But going from 1 to 2, going from 2 to 3, going from 3 to 4 is a lot easier. And once you get that momentum, again, right, the next step shows up. So life is like that. You just have to be willing to take a step and understand that failures are going to be part of the experience, but that doesn't mean that it has to end. And if something fails, right, if you fail at something, it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just maybe there's something wrong with your process, right? And that's a lot easier to accept, right? It's not your failure as a person. It's more like, I did something, it didn't work. What can I learn from it? Failures in life have embedded within them the knowledge on how to succeed. I remember my coach would also tell me too, every failure, every adversity has within it a seed of greater or equivalent benefit. So what does that mean? It means that in spite of the fact that you failed, in spite of the fact that you did something that didn't work, what did that teach you, right? Because in life, when you fail and you feel discouraged, but man, you did something, right? And that is worth a lot more than just doing nothing, right? That's what most people do. And we're all victims of that. We're all people that fall into that category. There are many things that I think about and I don't act on. And there are many things that maybe you think about and you don't act on. But what happens? The clock is ticking, right? Another day that you don't take action, another day that you don't take a step, another day that you don't do something that you really want to do, that's a day that you don't get back. And while you're still breathing, while you still have life in your lungs, that is the opportunity. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your days. Don't just allow yourself to be like another sheep that doesn't take the step forward, that doesn't actually do what you want to do. Because look, this life is challenging. It very much is. But man, it's beautiful. And if you just tap into your energy, if you just tap into that desire that you have and just allow it to take form in whatever way possible, right? The first step is scary, but when you take the first step, the next one shows up. And that's the key, is we want to use that snowball effect, right? We want to go ahead and allow the first step to connect with the next and keep moving forward. So that's the message that I want to pray I want to pray for you. For all of you that are watching, I want to pray for your success. I want to pray for your joy because your dreams matter. And if no one's told you that, then I want to be the person to tell you that your dreams do matter because you're here for a reason, right? And whatever ideas or desires that you have, man, those are special. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So God bless you. Thank you for joining me on this walk, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.